So, Battletoads, let's talk about Battletoads. When I first started working at NES games, apart from Slalom being my first one, what else did I work on? Wizards and Warriors. We were working on games like Snake Rattle and Roll, RC Pro-Am, games like Captain Skyhawk, which we did with Brendan Gunn. So many, honestly. I'd need to look at Wikipedia. There are also quite a few converted games, can't really remember any of them, but things like game shows. There were just literally so many of them at that point in time. And I'd probably try and complete one a week, if possible, certainly one every 2 weeks. I was quite busy in those days because we'd be working on many projects at the same time. Going back to Battletoads, when we were working on it, it really was quite a small team. I can remember Chris Stamper was overseeing it, Mark Bettridge was doing a lot of the programming. I think Chris Sutherland, he came in and he was doing the programming on the arcade board. Kev Bayliss was working on the graphics with Tim Stamper, and I was working on the music.
I was really quite creative with the Battletoads, and I remember at the time I was even into messing around with music, and I bought my own keyboard at home, and I tried to make my own Battletoads theme, and I brought it into Tim, and I played it to Tim one day and said, listen to this is the music for Battletoads, and no, it's not. And I think Dave did a much better version.
I can remember on the games that we did for Ultimate Play the Game that they had just one note, couldn't have chords, it was one note or nothing. And on the NES and the Game Boy, we had a noise channel, we had, I think it was 2 square wave channels and a saw wave channel. So very basic, 3 notes. That's what we had to use to suggest melodies and chords on the NES. So for years and years and years, it was actually quite a technical exercise before you'd even started transcribing the music to fit onto the cartridges. Now those cartridges were tiny. It was tiny, tiny, tiny. Even on the Super NES, we only had 64K of memory to cram everything in, but we had far less than that on the NES and the Game Boy. And the way we did it, on the piano, we'd write out hex notes, and we'd write these as subroutines, and that's how we created the music. So there was no MIDI, we'd have to work it out on the piano, transcribe it, type it into a subroutine on the computer, assemble it, run it, and it was quite a slow and involved process to get what was really a glorified doorbell coming back out at you. Joel Hochberg, who was our agent over in America and pretty much everywhere, he was really into arcades, that was his background. So he had an idea it would be a great idea to have a Rare game in as many arcades around the world as possible. The whole reasoning behind doing a game like Battletoads is because the original IP was very important. That would define your company from another people's company. So the plan always was for it to be an arcade game. It got converted over to the NES, but the actual original score was the one for the arcade. Chris had started working on a board. He actually made the arcade board himself, and that's when I started working on doing the music for Battletoads. There was a lot of shared content between the arcade version and the NES, but then the subsequent games after that were looking at original material in the same style. They were great fun, the teams really enjoyed working on them. We were all driven to try and get the best experience out there possible. If we wanted the music to be better, we wanted the graphics to be better, we were always trying to surpass the limitations of the system. And I think that's what made a Rare game. Can't really remember it, but
Like and subscribe for much more behind-the-scenes Rare revealed material right here on this channel. Check out the recent making of Perfect Dark just for starters. We're also filling a playlist with stage themes from Rare Replay, which is available right now for Xbox One. You know, just in case you fancy it.